Alternative win condition. With Janelle and Will. Hello and welcome back to episode 16. I know, we're really late, but we lost the last episode due to sound difficulties, and we were on hiatus for all of December and January.
Yep.
Well, not all of January. We tried to record in January. That was the last episode we lost, so we're really good at losing stuff, aren't we, Will?
We are. We're really good. It's like, yeah. I mean, we do our job better than the Gatewatch did in trying to keep the Eldrazi out of Modern, but we do have issues at times. So.
We do. And for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, I'm Janelle, and this is my co-host who is just speaking, Will.
It's like, yeah, Gatewatch, you had one job. You failed miserably. Go get Liliana or something. I don't know. Do something. It's like, sure, you killed the two big Eldrazi, but you forgot to pick up the Thought-Knot Seer and the Eldrazi Mimics along the way, and now we have a whole shit other issue in Modern, so thank you.
Right, and we have show news for you. Yay, show news. So, we have a website now. I can't remember which episode we told you, or if we told you about that. We've had some technical difficulties. So, We have a website. It is awcpodcast.com?
awcpodcast.com, yes.
I paid for it, and I can't remember.
It's like, mostly since we've been on hiatus, most of it has been me just doing my blogs up there and put a couple things up about Oath of the Gatewatch, etc., etc.
Yes, but in time you'll also be able to find the podcasts up there. Quick link if you're looking for us.
Yep.
We also now have a Twitch channel, thanks to Will. He's streaming, ew, gross, it's MTG Online.
MTGO, yeah. It's like, I'm starting off small. I have a Pauper deck that I like, so I'm trying to do some Pauper leagues. Might try to get a draft in and stuff like that. Really just trying to get started. I haven't even set a first goal of, let's just get 10 subscribers. If we can get 10 subscribers to the channel, then I don't know, I may do something special. It's not going to be, like a 24-hour draft like a bunch of the other streamers do, because I'm 35 years old. I'm too old for that shit. But we'll do something. So.
And I will not participate because I hate MTGO. Perhaps we'll figure out some kind of screen share where I can cast something he's doing or comment on it, but that's about fucking it.
Yep.
So, yeah. Get a new product, Wizards, because I hate MTGO. Moving on. Will took the initiative and did a new hashtag for us, guys. It's hashtag AskAWC. So if you've got a question, you just want to shoot it out into the ether, just put it on Twitter, hashtag AskAWC. So the first one we got is from Jester, and he asked, how many cards in your collection and how do you store them? What organizational storage methods do you utilize? Now, I don't know about you, Will, but for me, this is a fucking complicated-ass question. I had a system before my boyfriend moved in that was, take the cards, put them in a box.
Right.
There was no sorting, there was no color coding, there was no set coding. If it was worth money, it went into my binder. If it wasn't worth money, it went into the random-ass box in the back of my room, most of which were old Loot Crate boxes. Then when he moved in, he's fucking OCD, so he organized them by color, not by set or anything, which irritates the shit out of my standard friends. But in those giant white boxes with the 5 rows that the stores use.
It stores like 5,000 some odd cards. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I think we've got 3 of those. So I guess the answer to your question is I've got 10,000 non-money cards, which are cards worth under $1. And then my binder's got about 500 cards in it. And then I don't know how many in my collection. If you don't collect something and you're playing Magic the Gathering, I don't know what you're doing. I collect Planeswalkers and tokens. I love fucking tokens. The artwork is so gorgeous, and I just enjoy Planeswalkers. So, Planeswalkers! My Planeswalker binder is just overflowed, and I have to buy a new one. It's the little ones, the 4x4s.
Yeah, the little small ones. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That just overflowed. My token collection is 75% of the really big back-to-back cloth sleeves that you side load.
Yeah, there's like.
So that's how many fucking cards I got, an ass ton that I don't want to count. So what about you, Will? How do you store your cards? How many you got?
I was about to say, if I was gonna put a rough estimate, because there were two different sets where I actually opened a case,
Which is ridiculous.
Of product, yeah. And so, just assuming counting that out for 36 packs times 15, I'm probably gonna say I'm somewhere in the realm of about 5,000, maybe even more. I'm not. I haven't. Probably even closer to 10,000 to be perfectly honest. But how do I store my stuff? Well, most commons and uncommons and things that are not of value, normally they go into a box. And I've gotten to the point now where after I do a draft or something like that, before I leave the store, I'll unsleeve my deck and either give the commons and uncommons to a kid or to the store and just be like, here, donations, just take them. I don't, because I have enough of them. I don't really need any more.
Yeah.
But the rares and the cards of value I will keep. I actually have right now 3 different binders essentially. I have a binder that is more bulk rares, but they're standard bulk rares. So essentially, if anybody breaks the format all of a sudden with one of these bulk rares, that I have it there in collection, ready to pull out and either sell if I'm never going to play it myself, or use it in a deck. Then I have a collection that's a little higher than bulk rares, but it's things that are not in standard anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my third binder that has anything that has a monetary value greater than $5.
I always appreciate it when people separate their binders into standard and non-standard. I can't fucking do that. Like, my binder drives OCD people crazy. It's my binder. Nobody fucking touches my binder. It's my system, and literally no one understands my system, and that's okay. It's my system. But I can't do it. It's standard, non-standard, no. They just all go in the slots, in the places where they belong, and that's where they belong, and stop fucking with my shit. Though, when you show up with your binder for trade, and you're like, well, this is my old stuff, and this is my new stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, the boyfriend needs this, so I need to look at the old binder, or my EDH deck needs this old card. I fucking need a Blood Moon, like, I swear to God. And I'm building a new standard deck, which I do want to talk about my new standard deck later. Then I get to, be all like, yay, somebody who's OCD, that's made my life so much easier.
It's like,
and you're looking at my 500 card binder going, how is this even sorted?
I will say generally when I go to my store and stuff like that, I will take my expensive binder, especially on nights where it's like modern and stuff like that. I typically don't like carrying around a bunch of binders with me. Mm-hmm. If I go to an event or something like that, I may ease up on that a little bit and take binders with me, but in general, I don't like to.
And I hate being without my stuff. There's always that one guy who has that one card I've been looking for, and I don't have my trades.
Right.
So I have to bring them everywhere. Well, I'm not my collection binders. That's besides the point. Okay. So anything else, Will?
No, not on that one. It's like, as I said, I think binders is the way to go. I would definitely have a binder just full of your trades. Valuable stuff. I would say, well, not just trades, but valuable stuff. Like the things that, as I said, more than $5.
Well, that's up to the player. I totally do that because I fucking lose cards. My system is shove the card in a box, right?
Right.
So I totally lose shit. But if you actually store your stuff in, like the boyfriend does, in the white boxes or any kind of box, really, then you don't need to keep your cards with you. That's if you're not using it and you don't want to trade it, you could get it stolen.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're not fucking retarded like me, or you don't need to have it in the binder, just store it with the rest of your crap. And I don't think you should really ever get rid of your commons and uncommons. You should just talk to all your friends and be like, commons and uncommons, if it's not worth money, well, in my house we even do it with rares because I only trade money cards, that if you want it, you need it, we're not going to make a trade. If it's under $1, just I'll tell you what I need, you tell me what you need, and we'll work it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like, and I mean that's the big thing is that, which is also why I like sort of my organizational method is that it makes it easy to be like, all right, well, okay, I'm trying to get your, I don't know, let's throw a card out there, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, money
As
card.
like, as like, here's my money card binder. Find what you need out of this to get to that number.
Yeah.
And if you can't find anything than that, versus having them tug through my big binder that has all the maybe $1 to $2 cards in it, it's just like that's just too much for either one of us. Let's just do this one and keep
That's
going.
fair. It's all in one binder for me. But like I said, I can't handle separating like that. Anyways, okay. Chester asked us another question because he's awesome. And he said, climbing back in, where do I even start? What path do you suggest to catch up and start playing decently? Thanks. This is another, I think, complicated question. It depends on how good you are at draft and sealed. If you have any skill, like you'll go 2-2 more often than not. Fucking play draft and sealed. You get cards, you learn the system, you're reading all the fucking cards. You're not spending a lot of money because not only are you buying, you're putting in what you're paying for, you get the chance to win more packs. You get a chance to see all the combos. You can see how this card's better in sealed and draft, and then this card is better, obviously better in standard. And again, how everything works in synergy. You get a better idea of what the standard format is looking at. And then you can move from there with what you have into a deck.
Yep. I think that's excellent advice for starting off with. If you're interested in getting into the constructed formats like standard and
right
modern,
off the back. Yeah.
Right on. If you're interested in getting started in those, here would be my recommendations what to start off with. If you want to start off with standard, there is the Battle for Zendikar event deck called Ultimate Sacrifice. Essentially, it's the starting point for a Rally the Ancestors deck. It's green and black, and it has your Nantuko Husk. It has your Grim Haruspex. It has a Collected Company, a Tasigur, a Hangerback Walker in there. Trying to think, there's another valuable card, Warden of the First Tree. So there's actually some pretty good valuable cards to start off with, but the deck itself is actually decent versus a lot of the pre-con decks they come out with each set are not. So that's kind of where I would start off with in standard. In modern, if you can get your hands on a modern event deck, which is basically black-white tokens, and you can do it for under $70, one is a good value right now because the decks have 2 Inquisition of Kozilek, which have been going up insanely in price since they did not reprint it in Oath of the Gatewatch.
Yeah, Jesus, that's a good point. You got to figure out what fucking set you want to start in or format.
Yeah.
And I do not recommend you just jump into modern or legacy. I think the best place to start is standard.
Right, and I would agree with that too. Standard it's going to be the quickest rotating format. It's going to be, it's something that you can find a good budget version. One of my recommendations personally is go to a website called MTG Goldfish. They have the main guy who is over there. He does a whole set on budget standard decks. Like budget decks that you can build for under $75 to $100. Is like, and they're good decks. He puts his time in. He tests these decks to make sure that they are viable and everything else. Are they the most competitive? Probably not the most competitive, but if you're gonna go to a Friday Night Magic, I think it's an excellent place to start off with.
Yeah. And as you're getting back into it, you're picking up cards, you're trading cards. Then when the next set comes out, so you're a little bit back into the format, you're getting the swing of things, you're understanding, what people are playing, what you need to sideboard against. Then if you have the money, buy box.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will give you a ton of trade fodder. And then for the next 4 sets, buy 1 box. It's $100 out of your budget that's 6 months now?
Right, yep.
Every 6 months, it gets you a lot of fucking money to put into your trades.
It does. And honestly, right now, if you're going to pick up a box, the only set right now, with the exception of the, I wouldn't get anything from Khans of Tarkir block at all because half of that is about to rotate out. Over half of it actually. And we'll be left with Dragons of Tarkir in not, in 2 months. I personally would pick up either Magic Origins because it has the most expensive card in Standard right now, which is Jace, or pick up Oath of the Gatewatch booster box. And the reason why is, and we're gonna get to this when we start talking about what happened at the Pro Tour this weekend, but there are a lot of cards in that set that are incredibly valuable for that deck. And so, if you're wanting value to try to trade into other cards, those would be the two that I would recommend personally. Right now. So, but of course, then with Shadows over Innistrad, I would get at least, get a box of that going in, and
because you don't know what the price is going to come out at, really.
Yeah, you don't.
And if you're lucky, you'll get a treasure, and there's a deck.
Yep.
So, anything else we want to let them know? I think that's good, right?
Just do research. That's probably my last point. Is just
I hate research. He's right.
It's like do research. I mean, Star City Games, Channel Fireball, that can kind of give you an idea on. It can give you some ideas on when you go into draft what to do, or kind of give you an idea of what some of the good decks in Standard are if you want to aim for one of those decks. Research is very, very important. So, I would definitely keep my eye out on that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so now we're going to talk about our fucking last few months, I guess, in Magic.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering. Get the cards, play the game. Hope to win, but as we all know, it's not about winning.
Draft.
Commander.
Trading.
Legacy.
Modern.
Standard.
Tilt.
Table flip.
This Week in Magic starts now.
Alright, well, I have been up to very little because I'm still fucking angry at Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In either way, I hate Siege Rhino. I really fucking do. I tried my best to get away from Siege Rhino. I'm so sick of Siege Rhino. And I failed. I actually failed fucking miserably. So I put together this token deck and I really liked it. And then it morphed into Super Friends because I'm crazy. And I fucking just like Planeswalkers. And then
may I ask what colors? Is it Abzan or
it
Esper?
Was Naya. Well, this is what it was. It was Naya tokens. And then it became Naya Super Friends. And then it was Naya Black Super Friends. And now it's Naya Black Good Cards. So I've got Siege Rhino.
I knew it. I was about to say, if it's Naya Black, it's
I've got Siege Rhino. I've got Sorin. I've got Nissa, the new one. I've got the Ally Gideon. I've got Chandra, the new one. I've got what is the card? Green, white, black, Charm.
Oh, Abzan Charm.
Abzan Charm. I need to find a place for Crackling Doom. Yep. Like, it's Abzan Black. Sorry, it's Naya Black. Good cards.
Yeah.
The deck is fucking amazing. Because you're just like, what is happening right now?
I'll say, I've heard it referred to a few ways. I've heard it as Abzan Red, Mardu Green. It's like, and now Naya Black.
And now Naya Black, yeah. It's just 4-color good shit. That's just what it is. It's 4-color good shit. Like, what the fuck? Abzan Charm and Crapping Doom. Yeah. Crackling Doom and Siege Rhino and fucking all these Planeswalkers and just look at my deck and weep.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, yeah.
I made the cat cry. Did you hear that? I made the cat cry.
Crapping Doom is about right, because as someone who plays Esper Dragons, I don't want to see Crackling Doom. It's just like, it's the one thing that can kill Ojutai.
Yeah.
Before he attacks. Like,
fuck yeah. Fuck you, Crackling Doom. What the fuck, people? Why is this possible? This should not be possible.
Well, if it's any consolation, you only have like 2 more months of it, and then we have to go back to playing like straight 2 to 3 color decks.
Oh, I'm so sad. We're getting rid of Siege Rhino.
And we get rid of
However
Siege
will
Rhino.
I cope without Siege Rhino?
It's like, I personally welcome Rhino going away. It's like, of course, actually, there is one card that I will be happier that will go away even more than Siege Rhino. Is Rally the Ancestors. If I see that fucking
Oh my
card,
god!
fine.
It had Rally the Ancestors in it for a little while, and we toyed about putting in fucking, that card, the green card costs 4.
Oh, the Woodland Wanderer?
No, the one that
has...
lets you put shit onto the battlefield at instant speed.
Oh, Collected Company.
That one, Collected Company. We toyed about putting Collected Company in there, but then I put the Siege Rhinos back in, and, well, fuck that, but...
Yeah, it's like... Yeah, no, it's like...
Yeah.
It's like, as much
good
as...
shit.
Yeah, it's like... Right, I'll be happy to see Rhino go. I'll be happy to see Rally the Ancestors go. I'll be happy to see Mantis Rider go. Monastery Swiftspear, take away one of the red decks. Fast threats. Like,
Yep.
I'll be happy to see that go. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'll be happy just to see go away when Shadows over Innistrad comes out. Yeah, it is like, there's so much that I don't ever want to actually see again. So.
Format's broken. I mean, what did you do? What have you been up to?
It's like, well, after the sad passing of Splinter Twin.
Aww, do you hear the little violin I'm playing?
Yeah, it's like, so the first thing I try to do is, in Modern at least, is to try to find a way to play Monastery Mentor in Modern.
Yeah, you've been working on that for a while.
Yeah, and I've actually figured out it doesn't work. It's like, I'm sure someone like Patrick Chapin will come along and prove me wrong on this.
Well, yeah, that's what they do.
But at least from my testing, it's just too inconsistent. It just doesn't work. So what I did was I took looked over the Pro Tour results and tried to find what is the best blue control deck that I could find. And I had to go down to a person who got 7-3 in the constructed portion, which is not terrible for the Pro Tour, not bad at all. But is Jelger Vigashma, I think is his name. I don't know. He's from a European country. Don't ask me where. I don't know. But he was playing essentially kind of the spiritual successor to what I was playing in Modern before Splinter Twin got banned, which was control combo. But the difference is his combo is not Splinter Twin. His combo is Resto Angel and Kiki Jiki. Mirror Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically it's a control deck. It runs 4 Resto Angels, 4 Wall of Omens, 4 Snapcaster Mages.
Make sure you kick things in the teeth. Yeah, okay.
Yep. And then it runs Kiki Jiki, because Kiki Jiki, if you're essentially wondering what the combo is here, Resto Angel says whenever it enters the battlefield, blink a non-angel creature you control. So you play Kiki Jiki. If you have a Resto Angel already on the field, you tap it. It makes a copy of Resto Angel. With Resto Angel, you blink Kiki Jiki. Now Kiki Jiki has haste, so whenever he comes back in, you can tap it again, and you just basically make infinite Resto Angels.
Like a bitch.
And,
okay. Yeah. Like I said, kick things in the teeth.
Yeah, pretty much. But it still is a control. It is more of a control deck because it does run 4 Celestial Colonnades, which is the man land, and post the Eldrazi Menace, which we'll get to in a moment. I'm now running at least 2 main deck Supreme Verdicts because I need a way to clear the board just as soon as possible to, from a deck that throws 4 things down on turn 0 or turn 1. So I needed something to be like, all right, no, this ain't happening. You're not playing this game with me. So, and honestly, it's interesting because looking at some results from this past weekend, there was a Modern deck in a online PPTQ. They got second place, and it was running 4 main deck Supreme Verdicts, but it still lost to the Eldrazi deck in the finals. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Cause Eldrazi. Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
So, in Standard, I'm still playing Dragons. I experimented a little bit with Esper Red, and the red was literally only for Chandra Pyremaster. Or sorry, Chandra Flamecaller. Chandra Pyremaster is the old one. Chandra Flamecaller, the new Chandra. And it worked okay. It's not great. So I think I'm going to go back to Esper, or I may just try a little Grixis build that I've come up with. That actually will allow me to use Chandra a little bit better, I think. But it'll still allow me to play Silumgar Scorn and everything else. So, beyond that, just been drafting the set a ton. I actually think I've got the hang of drafting Oath of the Gatewatch down pretty well now. Mm-hmm. This past week, yesterday when in the draft, I ended up going 3-0-1.
Nice.
And the draw was last round intentional. And drafted a very nice black-white deck with a pack 1, pick 1 Kalitas, Trader of Get. Mm-hmm. Which just is an insane card. It's an amazing card. That's all I can say about it. It's amazing. Think of Anafenza that creates zombie tokens for your side.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and it's only black, so any deck can actually play it. Not just Abzan. So yeah, it's an incredible card. But yeah, that's been about the extent of it. I did game day this past weekend. Best I did was I got a top 8 promo in all 3 of the game days. But in being truthfully honest about this, one of the game days was standard, only had 8 people total. The one on Sunday was standard, it only had 4 people total. Now, the one that was an accomplishment was the draft one on Saturday night, and that one I ended up getting like 4th. And so, so not terrible, but did not get the playmat, which actually I sort of wanted to get the playmat because it's Zendikar Resurgent, which is a pretty cool looking card. It's like, and I had someone point out to me that Chandra in that picture looks absolutely stoned, which I mean, maybe I don't know. It's like she just have a bunch of fire around her all the time. It's not unquestionable that she might,
Good Lord.
She might get stoned every so often. So.
All right. Well, anything else?
I know that's all for me. So.
All right, then we're gonna get into our news and topics, right into what we spoilered just a few minutes ago, and that's the Eldrazi took over the Pro Tour. Now, just for clarification on my part, this was just modern, right?
Yeah, it was it was modern, and they always do one draft both days.
Well, draft is irrelevant. We're talking.
Yeah, this is modern.
Constructed here. Yeah, it was modern. Okay, so.
It was modern.
So it hasn't completely taken over the Pro Tour, but it's getting fucking close.
Well,
Modern got their ass kicked by the Eldrazi decks. So it was 6 of the top 8 were Eldrazi decks. What were the other 2?
Affinity. So still colorless decks, just one was robots, one was Eldrazi. So it's like
all right,
still
why
basically
don't you
color.
break down what these Eldrazi decks are running for everybody?
Okay, so to kind of give you an explanation of why the Eldrazi decks are so good, we have to start off with the mana base, essentially. One of the cards is Eye of Ugin. Now, Eye of Ugin says all colorless Eldrazi spells you cost 2 generic less. I wanted to specify not colorless, 2 generic less. And then it has 7 in a tap. Search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Now, you'll notice there's one thing that I did not say in any of that, and it was tap for mana. This is a card that does not tap for mana by itself. But it does allow all your Eldrazi spells to cost 2 generic less. Well, fortunately for the Eldrazi decks, there are at least 2 really good Eldrazi that cost exactly 2 generic mana. One of them is Eldrazi Mimic, which is 2 generic mana. It says when another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may change Eldrazi Mimic's base power and toughness to that creature's power or toughness until end of turn. Then the other one is actually, believe it or not, Endless One. Endless One is just an X spell that says Endless One enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So here's what I saw a couple times as a turn 1 for this Eldrazi deck. Turn 1, Eye of Ugin, then 2 Eldrazi Mimics and an Endless One. Like, okay,
Wait,
seriously,
fuck you, all right?
I just put 3 things on board that at least have a power of 2, and I actually didn't pay anything for them whatsoever, essentially. Then It also uses Eldrazi Temple. And Eldrazi Temple says you can tap it and add 2 to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast colorless Eldrazi spells. So now, theoretically, with the cost reduction of Eye of Ugin and Eldrazi Temple, you can play on turn 2, a Thought-Knot Seer that costs 4.
I think the second one, the Eldrazi Temple, that needs to be banned.
I don't think so. Here's why.
But I think that would slow the deck down incredibly, wouldn't it?
The thing that slowed the deck down is banning Eye of Ugin.
Really?
Because that's the thing that allows for the bunch of free spells to be cast at once.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
The most broken openings are turn 1 Eye of Ugin, drop 3 or 4 creatures at once.
That's true. Okay, you got me there.
And so with Eldrazi Temple, you can just tap it for 2, and you can play one Eldrazi Mimic or an Endless one, but you can't play like 4 or 5. But the thing that really sort of pulls this whole thing together, of all things surprisingly, is Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Yes, and if you said, wait, that sounds familiar, it's because it was in Standard not too long ago. It's a legendary land that says each land is a swamp in addition to your other land types. So once you throw this on the field with Eye of Ugin, you essentially have something that taps for 3 mana for all practical purposes. Because you tap the Eye of Ugin for 1, and it reduces the cost by 2. So you essentially have a Black Lotus that you never have to discard. It's like very, very broken stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I got 6. Now, it's interesting because among those 6 decks, there were actually 3 different versions of the deck. There was the one that won, which was Jian Tao, which honestly looks like he took a bunch of draft things and played with them, including Ruination Guide, Val Aggregate, and Eldrazi Sky Spawner. Those were some of the best draft things in Battle for Zendikar. Like, all of them. Drowner of Hope was also kind of in that mix as well. But it was just blue-red. Then there was the sort of quote-unquote big deck that was the Channel Fireball Team face-to-face games deck, which was just colorless Eldrazi. It actually played no color at all with the exception of the Urborgs.
Okay.
And so that was probably the most well put together deck. And then even then there was a third deck version that was Frank Lepore in the top 8 that was actually using the processing mechanic from Battle for Zendikar in his version of the deck. But basically the whole all 3 versions of the deck have basically the same thing: is 4 Eye of Ugins, 4 Eldrazi Temples, 4 Eldrazi Mimics, 4 Thought-Knot Seers, and there is technically a turn 2 kill with the deck, though they never actually was able to pull it off on camera with this deck. It is turn 1, play 3 Eldrazi Mimics with Eye of Ugin. Turn 2, play Eldrazi Temple, exile Simian Spirit Guide, which actually, I'll get back to Simian Spirit Guide on why this was an insane card in this deck in a moment. And tap 4 mana to play Reality Smasher. Then all your Mimics become 5/5s as well with haste, or 5/5s, and you swing in for 20. So you could theoretically kill on turn 2 with this deck, but it's not likely. So, but immediately after the Pro Tour, everybody was like, well, I don't know if there's any deck that can actually beat this. And I gotta be honest, looking at it, I don't know if there's any deck that can beat this. It's like, this is the first time I'm going to say is like, I've seen some different ideas, but the decks that they build specifically to beat this deck are miserable. Like, Lantern control levels of miserable.
What do you mean?
Like, blow up your lands.
Land destruction is going to wreck that deck, yeah.
Land destruction, just a whole bunch of stuff. Ensnaring Bridges. They're talking about throwing a bunch of Ensnaring Bridges main deck, a bunch of Board Wipes main deck. Like, there's just a whole bunch of different things that they're talking about. And it just sounds like it's going to be a miserable few months of Modern. I'll be honest. It's like, because it's going to be incredibly tough for someone to come up with a way to beat this deck. Now, however, this weekend is a Star City Open that is Modern. And I think there's an actual GP that's Modern, too. So this will be the first test to see, okay, now we know what enemy number 1 is. What can we do to beat it? And if it still comes out that we can't beat it, my guess is when Shadows over Innistrad, when the banned and restricted list comes out, either Eye of Ugin or Eldrazi Temple or both will be on it. Because it's just way too... It's really powerful.
It is really powerful. Now, I don't think that they're going to ban it right away. I think what's going to happen is they're going to see how the format shakes out. I really do believe that there are decks you can build against this. And if the format goes Eldrazi or, anti-Eldrazi, and that's all anybody can play, nobody comes up with anything else as good as the Eldrazi deck, then they'll ban something.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's what I said, is I think they're going to give it a few weeks. There's some GPs, there's some SCG Opens, and they look at the SCG Opens as close as they look at the Grand Prix to see kind of what are the ideas that people are using to beat this deck. If we can find the answer to it, the chances are it will probably be safe until the next Modern Pro Tour next year. If nobody can in these next few weeks, they are probably going to say, all right, forget it, we're banning it. So really the only other thing I want to talk about, because I want to get back to the Monkey Summoning Spirit Guide. Mm-hmm. Channel Fireball did something really, really smart with their deck. They played 4 main deck Chalice of the Void. Now, Chalice of the Void says it's an XX spell, so that means you actually need 2 mana to do it. But it says whatever X is, counter target spells.
Okay.
With that converted mana cost. So what they would do is turn 1 any land, except Eye of Ugin, of course, and then exile Simian Spirit Guide from your hand, which says when you exile it from your hand, you just add red to your mana pool. It doesn't really matter what the color is, because you can now play a turn 1 Chalice for 2. Mm-hmm. So in all the decks that are playing Serum Visions, Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, Inquisition of Kozilek, Thoughtseize, Delver of Secrets, Burn just completely gets shut out by a turn 1 Chalice on the play.
That's true.
It's like it cannot do anything. So it was a very smart move on their part to come up with let's play Chalice. That particular combo, and the thing. And of course, probably the moment of the Pro Tour came at the hands of one of the members of the Channel Fireball team, specifically Luis Scott Vargas, also known as the gut shot heard around the world. But I'm sure you've heard enough about that one. I don't want to go into that, but it's one of those moments that when I watched it live, I was like, oh my god, that's an amazing end to the match. I can't believe that happened. So,
all right, well, we're going to need to move on because we are running out of time. Yep. So we're going to talk about Pack of Shadows over Innistrad, supposedly leaked. This has not been confirmed, correct?
It has not been confirmed, but I'll be honest, from everything that I see on these pictures, this looks to be accurate. There's nothing in here that makes me think, why would they do this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. 2, it actually fits with some of the flavor of the original Innistrad, because there are transform cards in here. Kind of the old transform that they had, start off as a human, end up as a werewolf, essentially. But one of the other interesting things that sort of makes me think this is real is and if we're on the Gathering Magic website, it's kind of hard to kind of point this out, but on the one of the last slides, there is the checklist card for all the the transform cards. So like we had with the transform planeswalkers from Magic Origins. Now, there are 2 things on here that are immediately recognizable that they are not here. One of them is there is no Planeswalker. The original Innistrad had Garruk as kind of a transformed Planeswalker. Mm-hmm. No Planeswalker. However, even that's not as big as the other thing that's missing on this list, and it's Delver of Secrets. Now, if you remember, Delver of Secrets, 1 in a blue, that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's an instant or sorcery, you can flip Delver of Secrets to the backside and it becomes a 3/2 flyer. card that's played in Modern, Legacy. It's a staple in Legacy, I would say, definitely at least, and even Vintage. Because I mean, how many times do you get a 3/2 flyer for 1 mana? No Delver of Secrets on this check card. That's what makes me think this is legit. Because if someone was trying to fake it, then why would they not put Delver of Secrets on there?
Yeah, that's true.
And so now I will say there is a card in blue that makes me think we may be getting somewhat of a successor to Delver of Secrets, and it's specifically Aberrant Researcher, which is 3 in a blue. We don't know anything else about it, but it makes me think that that's probably. If I wouldn't be shocked to find out that card has the same flip mechanic.
Why?
But
Why?
Well,
What
the first
about
Delver
Aberrant Researcher makes you think that it has anything to do with Delver of Secrets?
Well, Delver of Secrets, the front side of the card is a human doing researcher. It's a doing science projects, essentially, trying to harness the power of insects or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's sort of an homage to The Fly, essentially.
Oh, okay.
So he's sort of a researcher, a scientist, something like that. So that's kind of what I think Aberrant Researcher may be. I mean, I'm not going to say it's Delver of Secrets, and I'm sure it's not going to flip. Whatever it flips into is not going to be anywhere near as powerful as Delver of Secrets. Mm-hmm. But and a 3 in a blue is kind of weak to start off with. But I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case, because Delver was blue. They want to give something that kind of gives the flavor of Delver without actually putting Delver of Secrets back into the format. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be completely reasonable. So
yeah, why not?
Yeah. So. But the main other thing that you can look through the pack is there are basically, actually I put 2, but there's actually a third one a third mechanic called Skulk. It's like this creatures can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, which is interestingly enough, but that's not nothing too interesting. However, the things that are interesting in my opinion is there's a new mechanic called Delirium, which says if there are 4 or more cards types, 4 or more different card types among cards in your graveyard, then do something. This is another reason why I think it's true, because they've released the list now for the dual deck, Blessed versus Cursed. Mm-hmm. And that actually has the Delirium listed on it. Okay. So that makes me think that this is, again, kind of gives a thing in there. And specifically, it's like the 4 mana demon that's 4/5 flyer with trample. Sort of, people are saying maybe the new Siege Rhino. I don't know.
We don't need a new Siege Rhino.
It's like, but I think the most interesting mechanic, in my opinion, is Madness. Now, Madness is not a new mechanic. Madness is an old mechanic. But it says, it's usually, you have a spell, say for the example, the example they have on here is Fiery Temper. It's 1 red. And it says, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. But however, it has a Madness cost. It says, if you discard this card, discard it while paying this cost. When you do, you basically cast it as you put it into your graveyard.
So you can cast it twice.
No, you cast it once, but you cast it for a cheaper cost if you're discarding it to your graveyard. Now, is there anything in Standard right now that you think of that routinely discards cards to the graveyard that's played in everything?
Actually, no.
How about Jace?
Oh, yeah.
Draw and discard. So, my guess is Madness is going to play along very well with Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Fuck that card! I don't want it to go up anymore!
When you loot, so basically it turns this into a lightning bolt, essentially, when you discard it and pay red mana.
In other fucking words, but if you're planning on getting Jace ever, get it now.
Essentially, yes. I wouldn't be surprised if Jace goes back up to around the $89 region when
Fuck that card!
Shadows over Innistrad comes out. And that will still be legal as well until the fall set. So it's very Madness is the one that has me the most interested at the moment. I'm hoping they'll bring back Flashback, but there's nothing in these cards here that make me think Flashback is back as of yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping. It's like but it's very interesting. It's, as I said, I tend to think these are true. From what I've seen.
Well, there's no reason not to. I think they're very well. If they're fakes, they're fucking amazing fakes.
They are. They're really good. If they're fakes, they are really, really, really good fakes. Also, the only thing I want to kind of point out again, because we're going to talk about it in a moment when we talk about the second half of Shadows over Innistrad that was announced. But look at it on the flavor text of Structural Distortion. It's 3 in a red, exile target artifact or land, deals 2 damage to the permanent's controller. But is actually Nahiri, who was originally on Zendikar, also known as Stoneforge Mystic. And it says, as Zendikar has bled, so will Innistrad. As I have, and it's sort of bleeped out, but someone put on there is, they think it says, as I have wept, so shall Sorin. Which gets into my theory on the whole story of Shadows over Innistrad, but we'll get to that in a moment.
We'll get to it now, as a matter of fact. Let's talk about the new set that was released. It was Eldritch Moon. Eldritch Moon! Haha, I can read my own writing. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, yep. Alright, so this is the second half of Shadows over Innistrad. Now, they haven't released a whole lot about it yet, except the name.
Yeah,
and
except the name and, like, fucking nothing.
Well, and a picture, they did put a picture of Liliana raising some zombies from the dead.
A picture you can see on the YouTube screen right now.
Yep. And so we know, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise that Liliana's in Innistrad. I think we all knew that to be the case. I mean, that's not that big of a surprise. But the name is interesting because with the name Eldritch, there's something that it sort of has a very close relation to possibly Eldrazi. Or like a flying horror of some sort, possibly.
Yeah.
So people were speculating, oh my gosh, Emrakul, he's going to be in the second set. I don't think so, but here's why. Here's my theory. Here's my completely unjustifiable theory on what I think is going to happen in Shadows over Innistrad. The Gatewatch after Oath of the Gatewatch. There, of course, they're going to go looking. They're not immediately looking for Emrakul because their whole thing was, oh, we must protect the multiverse from all sorts of threats. But they know in order to deal with Emrakul eventually, they have to find Sorin. Sorin Markov. Mm-hmm. Last time we saw him, he was in Tarkir. Now, kind of a little bit explanation as to what happened with Nahiri as well. Nahiri was originally on Zendikar, and Nahiri went to Sorin and said, hey, I need help dealing with this Eldrazi threat. Can you do something to help me out here? And Sorin essentially said, no, I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. So my guess is once Nahiri got her spark on Zendikar, she went to Innistrad. I think either partly looking for Sorin, or she knew that the Eldrazi were going to destroy Zendikar and said, you know what, if you're not going to help me, fuck you, I'm going to destroy your homeworld now.
I would like that. I would like to see her just blow shit up.
I'm about to say, and that's the thing is, I personally think that she may be trying to find a way to summon Emrakul or an Eldrazi to Innistrad. And that's why, and remember the card text that I read is, as Zendikar has bled, so will Innistrad, as I have wept, so will Sorin. It's like, that's what I think she's trying to do, is I think she's trying to draw Emrakul to Innistrad. I don't know if that means she's messing up the moon herself somehow to kind of make it a bigger target for Emrakul or something along those lines. But my guess is that's probably what's going on. But when they get to Innistrad, the Gatewatch, going back to the Gatewatch, when they get there, they notice that something is not right. And so Jace, being the mind detective, essentially, he sort of goes into detective mode trying to solve out what's the puzzle of Innistrad, what's going on here. And somehow I think that eventually leads him to finding out what Nahiri is doing. So here's my guess on the Planeswalkers that are going to be in Shadows over Innistrad block. We're going to get a new Jace. We're going to get a new Liliana.
Because we need those.
Yep. We're going to get a new Nahiri. Actually, the first one that would be standard legal because the only other time Nahiri's been a Planeswalker was in the Commander sets last year. We'll get a new Sorin. And a new...
Hold on.
And a new fifth one. I don't know what the fifth one is.
A new fifth what? A new fifth Planeswalker?
Yeah, there'll be a fifth Planeswalker. I don't know who's gonna be the one who gets it.
Let's go with a new Planeswalker. How about fuck reprinting Planeswalkers? Give us a new Planeswalker.
I think they'll give us a new Planeswalker. I just don't know who it will be.
Who fucking no? I don't mean one that exists. I mean a brand new motherfucking planeswalker. One we've never heard of before. Just a new guy comes out of the blue, kicks some Eldrazi ass, and says, "Ha ha, bitches!" And then, I don't know, fucking leaves. We never see him again. Why not?
Well, see, that's the thing is, I think, and everybody's thinking is like, oh, well, Liliana will naturally be the 5th member of the Gatewatch. I don't think Liliana will.
She doesn't have to be part of the Gatewatch to help them.
No, she doesn't. But I think Sorin might be. And Sorin has traditionally been a black planeswalker.
I do love Sorin. He's my favorite planeswalker.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sorin's actually the black member of the
I don't want Sorin to come back, because every time they reprint him, I'm afraid he's going to take my turns.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think we have to worry about that. They're not going to do anything that insane.
Oh, they might. Yeah. They gave us fucking Siege Rhino.
Sure. It's like, but, so, I don't know what the 5th Walker is. I saw a new card in the Blessed versus Cursed decks that mentions Tamiyo, which, boy, that's one we haven't heard of in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So Tamiyo might be the 5th Walker. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Emrakul has a spark and he's the Planeswalker somehow. This is like, I would be shocked. 15 mana Planeswalker? Sure, why not? Let's go with it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I think the story is headed. Now, as I said, I am not a lore expert. This is just kind of me guessing from what I've been seeing, from the spoilers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very possible that it's headed that direction. But I don't think we'll actually see Emrakul in Shadows over Innistrad. I think
we'll see him before all is said and done.
Oh, of course, yeah. Because, I mean, eventually the Gatewatch are going to have to stop him. So, I mean...
Well, we'll see. We'll find out. And I'm fucking excited, honestly. I like Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
That's not new. All right, so last but not least, because we are nearly out of time... We're going to talk to you guys about Eternal Masters that was announced. Now, this is not a new set, which disappointed the shit out of me. It's like Modern Masters, but instead of Modern Masters, 3?
Yeah.
They're calling it Eternal Masters, because I guess they hate numbers. I don't know.
I'm about to say, and they clarified on Twitter. They said, yes, there will be some Modern playable cards in Eternal Masters, but the focus is on Legacy, Vintage, and Commander, being the formats they're focusing on.
I do like how much more emphasis they're putting on Commander.
Yeah. So, and they've only revealed 2 cards, but boy, they're 2 biggies. At least for people who play Legacy. It's Wasteland, which is someone actually pointed this out before I even noticed it. But it's kind of funny that Modern Masters, the first Modern Masters, had City of Brass. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the art for Wasteland, it's basically City of Brass that's just kind of decomposed.
Oh, it is!
Yeah.
It's totally a fucked up City of Brass. I like it.
Yeah, and so I also like that they went back to the original flavor text on it. The land promises nothing and keeps its promise.
I like that they've added the new colorless symbol.
Yes, they did. Yes, to clarify, yeah. Which actually is not new. They with the Wasteland Expedition they did the same thing. But yeah, I'm glad to see they're keeping this going beyond Oath of the Gatewatch essentially. So
yeah. And
then the big one, and my namesake on Twitter, Force of Will be reprinted in Eternal Masters.
I am not gonna even kid how happy this is gonna make some people. Like,
oh yeah,
it's so fucking pleased. But really, the people who I knew who wanted this shit reprinted, they wanted it in standard. They didn't want to deal with this, Eternal Masters shit.
I'm gonna say, I still think there's a very possible chance that we will eventually see a modern or a standard legal Force of Will. Obviously, with this coming out, it's not going to be any time in the near future, but I believe it's going to happen.
I don't think standard could handle Force of Will.
I think it could. It's like easily. It's like there. I mean, here's the thing to understand about Force of Will. Force of Will is a powerful card, but it's a powerful card out of necessity, not out of want or need or, because you're technically losing 2 cards to be able to cast it for free.
Yeah, I don't think standard could handle it.
It's like, and plus on top of that, it's, the reason it's so big in Legacy is because you have combo decks that can kill you on turn 1.
I think, well, yeah, it needs to be reprinted to be legal in Modern, if you ask me. But
it would definitely help.
You didn't ask me, but that's why we want it reprinted. Standard is not because of standard, but because of Modern. We want it Modern legal.
Well, see, I think eventually,
I think Force of Will could be handled in standard if you just upped the pay 1 life to pay 2 life.
And that's the thing. Yeah, they could do a different reprint on it that says pay 2 life instead of pay 1 life, and
then you don't have it in modern, and modern needs it pay 1.
Yeah,
just no win.
Well, see, here's the thing though. It's like, because eventually with the Modern Master sets, they're going to run out of sets, because I mean they're already up to original Zendikar, or sorry, Scars of Mirrodin.
True.
And so eventually, like, they're saying that Modern Masters 3 is probably going to go through Innistrad or further. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, you're going to do what? Are you only going to add 1 set each time and add Return to Ravnica, then Theros, then Khans of Tarkir block, then Battle for Zendikar? And are you just going to do 1 set at a time? I don't think so. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where, okay, well, we caught up to where we are in Modern. Now, we can start putting new cards in Modern Masters to be played in Modern. And that would include Force of Will and, Wasteland, or maybe even something as cool as, True Name Nemesis, which I think is completely viable for Modern, in my opinion. Especially if you were putting Force of Will in there. So it's like, I think they're going to get to a point where they can actually print old cards that they want in Modern without having to put them in Standard. I think it'll eventually get to that point. We're not there yet, but I think they can.
That's my answer. It's a long, drawn out sigh.
It's like...
There's no... I just don't think there's a way to fix it. No matter what they do with cutting off Modern, making a new Modern, I really think Force of Will would fix a lot of shit in Modern.
I think it would. It's like... my one concern is if they say, all right, now you have Force of Will, but we're going to also start unbanning stuff. I think it would honestly make probably Twin the deck to beat. And here's why. It's like, because it's already blue. Like, it's like, so it's like, oh, you're going to kill, when I play Splinter Twin, you're going to try to kill it? Okay, Force of Will. Like, even though I'm completely tapped out, it doesn't matter anymore. So, it's like... Yeah. It's like, but I think there are other ways to counter and things to do stuff like that as well. So, as I said, I would like to see it in Modern. I personally don't think it would be too bad in Standard, even at pay 1 life, because, again, it's not a card that I think people are... I mean, control decks will play it, but it'll play it out of either necessity or out of, I just need this in my deck. It's like, I don't think it's actually a requirement, because, again, who's killing you on turn 1 in Standard?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it would wreck you in Standard. Because that's fucking turn 7. You're tapped out. You played ass only knows what. Your opponent goes, okay, well, I got 1 shot to not lose this fucking game. You're tapped out. I'm going to play this spell. Force Will. Go suck a dick.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. It's like...
Force of Will is way too powerful for Standard.
Yeah, well, see... I don't know. It's like... Because, I mean, technically we're running around with regular old counterspell right now that costs 2 mana. I mean,
well, yeah, with
Silumgar Scorn.
Still, it costs 2. So turn 7, you tap out to play big ass nameless spells that cost you 7. You're tapped out. You're fucked. Force of Will, turn 7, you're no longer fucked.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I could see that. So. Yeah, and you might be right. Force of Will might just be too much. It's a spell from an old era of Magic that,
And so it needs to be in Modern. It needs to be put in Modern and somehow not put in Standard at the same time.
Well, as I said, I think eventually they can get to the point with Modern Masters where they can do this.
I didn't think Modern Masters was legal, made stuff legal.
Well, traditionally it hasn't, but as I said, eventually they're going to get to the point where they run out of sets to add to Modern Masters, so they're gonna be like,
that's true. So they just try to balance it. They close it off and then they try and balance it.
Right. It's like, it'd be like, okay, well,
I understand what you were saying now. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, so eventually there's gonna have to be something with that. So, there was one other kind of popular rumor going around, and I'll be honest, I was sort of hoping this rumor was true, when it came to Eternal Masters, because they were like, okay, well, like Modern Masters was one of the first things to talk about the Modern format, so maybe Eternal Masters is the start of a new format, Eternal, that's basically Legacy without the reserve list anymore. Because they already said they're not putting any reserve list cards into Eternal Masters. Mm-hmm. And they basically, WotC came out and basically said, no, this is not a new format. This is just us putting eternal format staples into a format that you can draft and play.
Yeah, and I think I wasn't the only one who thinks Modern needs to fucking be fixed by making a new format. So that's probably where that rumor came about.
Yeah, it's like, well, and a lot of people were talking about, I mean, it started with a article, I don't know who wrote it, not too long ago, saying that, hey, you know, what would, if we had Legacy without the reserve list, what would it look like? And basically, you're losing the dual lands, essentially. You're losing your very expensive dual lands. But everything else, though, you could technically probably get away with playing either shock lands or, you know, or other stuff that you actually don't need the actual reserve list for anymore. And so that's why that conversation came up, and now it's coming back up again to be like, okay, well, if this is all going to be stuff that's not on the reserve list, then why can't we do this again? Why can't we do a new format that will be basically Legacy, so you can still play Brainstorm, Force of Will, all these other things, but the only difference is you can't play with any of the reserve list cards. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. But and I was sort of hoping it would be true, but it's not. So don't worry, it's not happening yet. But
yep, so that's that. That's everything we have to talk about, and hopefully nothing fucked up this time. Swear
yeah,
to
hopefully not. So
all right, so thank you for listening. If you have forgotten, this is Alternate Win Condition. I'm Janelle, and my co-host is Will. I don't know how the fuck you people forget this every week, but in case you did, now you know. If you would like to get a hold of us, especially as we have our new game, hashtag AskAWC, I am at Janelle5, J-N-A-E-L-L-E, and the number 5. The show is at AWC Podcast, and Will is at
Force of Will MTG.
That's simple. That easy. We're here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
We've got an email. If you fucking hate Twitter, it's at awcpodcast@gmail.com. It's not at awcpodcast. It's just awcpodcast at gmail.com. Fuck
yep.
Twitter. Holy shit. All right. And then we've got the website. The website is awcpodcast.com. See, we've made this so fucking easy for you guys. It's all AWC Podcast. Come on, talk to us. We want to talk to. Why want you to talk to us?
I say, and on the website you'll find my blog. I'm going to try to do something this week about Modern. I just don't know what yet. It's like I'm going to try to have something up about Modern. Just know it's coming. Also, going back to the Twitter, check the Twitter because that's where it'll announce that I am going live if I am streaming. So check that out. I'll try to retweet it myself from my own account as well, so that way you can see it. But that's where I'll say it. That's where you'll hear if I'm going live on Twitch, so you can join me and
well, there's
as
a
we
lot
play
of
some
ways
Pauper.
to find Will if he goes on Twitch. You can, like we said, Twitter, but you can also subscribe to his Twitch page, which was
AWC Podcast.
And that will email you if you're, like, glued to your fucking email like I am. Or
Sure.
there's also... Oh, there's another way to fucking get a Twitch alert.
On your phone. Twitch app, yeah.
The Twitch app, that's it. So, if you want to watch the Magic streaming, the fucking Magic online, because you're fucking crazy like Will, then follow his his Twitch feed, or his Twitter feed, and you'll get the notices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like,
and if he puts them into a video, maybe we'll put them up on the website.
I'm gonna say, and actually, well, there's already one video up. I'd have to clean it up a little bit to make it an actual kind of
like
video.
We said, if he makes videos,
yeah,
we'll probably put them up on the website.
Yep, absolutely. So, and you can also support the show on SoundCloud, on Stitcher, that giant clusterfuck, on YouTube, on MTG Cast.
Anywhere you are listening, you can support the show simply by spreading awareness. Favorite, like, comment, whatever the fuck. Retweet us. Whatever platform of social media you're on. And don't fucking lie to me. You're on social media, or you can't fucking hear me right now.
Yep. And if you're using Stitcher, I truly apologize. I'm sorry for you.
Fuck, I like Stitcher. I don't know why people have so many problems with Stitcher.
Well, it's been down like the past 2 weeks. Like they've been working on it.
I guess
like,
they just
it's
don't
their
affect
natural
me
down.
ever. I don't know. Guess you guys be fucked.
So, and
Sorry.
iTunes also review 5 stars. You know, all this stuff. If you like our gratuitous swearing about Stitcher and Seizure, I know, then you know, go give us a positive review.
So that's how you can support us. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Fuck you, Siege Rhino.
Yeah, fuck you, Citrino. Oops, I hung up on Will.